Everyone, welcome to our first meeting of 2025. This meeting was noticed in the Florida Administrative Register and on the Tampa Bay Water website. The meeting is available for viewing through live streaming, and a recording of the meeting will be posted on the agency's website. Before we start, I would like to welcome back to the board Commissioner Kathleen Peters from Pinellas County. She's no stranger to this board, so we're glad to have you back. Thank you. At this time, we are going to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by our Vice Chair, Lizette Hanowitz.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Cohen.
Here.
Councilmember Hanowitz.
Here.
Mayor Davis. Commissioner Eggers.
Here.
Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
Councilman Miranda.
Here.
Commissioner Oakley.
Here.
Commissioner Peters.
Here.
Commissioner Wustel.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Before we move any further, are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to public comment. We have 3 minutes per speaker this morning. We have 2 people that are signed up for public comment. The first is David Ballard-Geddes Jr., and the second is Mark Cluthow. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. David Ballard-Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. Thomas Jefferson, in his Religious Freedom Act, argues against those who have falsely assumed dominion over others. Moses is quoted as saying, "Let my people go." Yet oddly, the Declaration of Independence sets in motion a long train of usurpations, perfidy, and death. It declares the absolute destruction of all ages and conditions, declaring to reduce us under absolute despotism, falsely assuming dominion over us. The Constitution is being used as a form of capture. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of our current Constitution states to capture both land and water. And as based on the Reclaimed Water Variance application, such capture now includes the capture of my religion too, which, as further equated in the 14th Amendment, as deduced in the birthing of water jurisdictions, the religion in particular that is being captured is Christianity. Now having been once captured themselves, based on the circumstance that they themselves were once captured, Moses cried out to God, and he cried out to the world to let his people go. The 10 Commandments were written in stone and handed to Moses, establishing such freedom. Now, using such freedom today, sadly, I find the system of laws written in the Declaration of Independence stands for the freedom to eat us out of our subsistence, to commit murder as its constituted process in the 14th Amendment. When George Washington, in his farewell address, states to indirectly undermine that which cannot be directly overthrown, is he speaking of undermining the water supply as a way to overthrow Christianity, using water as a power of the earth, as written in the Declaration of Independence, Washington further declaring himself to be of greatest rankness and truly one's worst enemy? Hypocritically has Thomas Jefferson falsely assumed dominion over Christianity, using water as his election of choice, intending to vanquish Christianity as based on Federalist Paper number 2, controlling man's subsistence is a way of controlling man's will, as based on Federalist Paper number 79. It appears to me the hypocrisy of this constituted liberty, freedom, and happiness of such is a high seas maritime violation, violating the stand of Jesus Christ himself. Thank you.
Mr. Clutho.
Mark Clutho, Largo. Yeah, that 14th Amendment. We have an illegitimate president. And, you know, you think it's bad now. More hurricanes are slamming the Gulf Coast. Is this the new normal? Science can't keep up with the warming planet. Well, with his mantra, drill, baby, drill, you think it's bad now? Hurricane Helene, Milton, oh, it's going to get really, really bad. Yeah, belching more and more carbon into the atmosphere. Oh, and I look at the agenda here. It's a joke. Energy management program. All we have to do is look at the lighting system in this supposed day-lit building. You clowns out there in the lobby, you have the lights still burning, shining on the wall where you used to have pictures hanging. What is the point? You idiots. I mean, that's just absolutely stupidity. Stupidity, and then of course you have your coats. So you buy more air conditioning and belch more carbon, and I understand you're going to give this grant for the good people that are helping the butterflies. But do you have a landscape here that is butterfly friendly? You know, I say actions speak louder than words. You people are pathetic hypocrites. If you're going to use water, do it so it benefits the environment, not waste it.
Thank you very much.
You are pathetic. Wait a minute, you're telling me to stop before it got down to zero. You idiot.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you. We are going to move on now to the consent agenda. If there is nothing to be pulled, can we please have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate on your screen.
Mr. Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much. We are going to go on to our regular agenda. Our first item is B1, which is the General Manager's report. Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I will start with give you a quick update on our system. Through the first 3 months of this fiscal year, we have delivered just shy of 200 million gallons a day. That is about 2.6% less than the same period as last year. We did receive below average rainfall for the months of November and December. However, the rains from the two storms has kept the rivers at a good flow for us since they arrived. We started withdrawing about 20 million gallons a day from the reservoir in mid to late November. We were taking an average of about 20 million gallons a day, and we got down to, I think, $14.4 billion in it as of about a week ago. And with the recent rains last week, and then the city of Tampa had to lower the river for some things they were doing with the dam, we have actually, as of today, we're about $15.3 billion in it. And so it's totally full at 15.5. And so by tomorrow, we'll be back here almost February, and it's completely full. The 12-month running average for the consolidated wellfield permit is 87.68 as the end of December, but I know it's gone down even more. It's just a little bit over 87 million gallons a day. And then the 12-month running average for the South Hillsborough wellfield is 25.07 million gallons a day at the end of December. And I know it is about 24.94 as of today. The desal plant, it produced almost 5 million gallons a day in December. And as you know, we took the plant down last year to repair and replace the five racks. And as of today, all 5 racks are operational. And I was reminded earlier that 1 year ago today, the board approved going forward with that project. And so less than 12 months, the project is up and running. Originally, that project was in our CIP to last 18 months and just start this year. So with things that happened last year, we got started a year early and we cut 8 months off of the schedule. And I want to thank the construction team at U.S. Water and Athiona for working hard. They promised they would take care of it, and as of today, I believe they have. So it's great news. Our surface water treatment plant, which is our workhorse of the system, averaged about 100 million gallons a day in December. It's running about 85 million gallons a day today. So as of from where we were last year, we are in great shape going into the dry season. The budget, let's talk about the fiscal year 2026 budget. We are in that process here. All of our departments and divisions have submitted their budgets, and we're reviewing those. The next stage would be put out a draft and talk to each of the member staffs. The schedule calls for a workshop in April, and then we will hopefully bring it back in May for approval. Also this year, our performance audit and management is due. We have every 5 years we do the audit, so we are in the middle of looking at procurement and going through the first 6 months. We'll be doing the procurement, and then by the last 6 months of this calendar year, we will work with whoever is selected and bring it back to the board late this year for the board to look through. The South Hillsborough pipeline, we are past 60% design on that pipeline. That's a 26-mile pipeline from our regional site down into the Brandon Balm area. And we're approaching 90%. We have had a series of public meetings that started 2 weeks ago. 3 out of the 7 are complete. And I know there is one this week, again, Thursday, and then a couple next week. So in the next 2 weeks, we will have visited all 7 of the meetings to talk to the folks on that route. Water quality, we continue to work with a consultant to look at the results from the PFAS sampling that we did, and also look at the total organic carbon project that we put on hold for about a year and a half or so because of the PFAS. Those 2 treatments are the same. So that is a scale of economy there. When we treat for TOC removal, we could treat for PFAS using the same treatment. So we're looking at wrapping the report up with the consultant and then have some meetings with each of the member governments. And we will not bring back recommendations until all of the members and Tampa Bay Water are satisfied with the plan going forward. So that will be coming pretty soon to the board this year. With Lacoochee River Electric Cooperative, we are members of that cooperative, and every year, depending on how they do financially, we have gotten a check from them. So in December, we received a check for a little more than $94,000, and that's what we've been averaging for the last several years. So they presented us with a $94,000 check recently. And then I want to congratulate the staff here. They were awarded a Certificate of Excellence from Digital Assurance Certification That's a company that provides post-issuance securities and tax compliance services to municipal securities to the market participants. The agency received this certificate in recognition of 10 years of outstanding commitment to continuing disclosure reporting for our bonds. And I want to give you some quick reminders. At next month's February board meeting, our annual demand forecast will be presented, and also the certified audit will be presented by our auditors. You will have election of officers, and then the general counsel's contract. It is almost been a year, so their contract is expiring in March, and so I believe they will be bringing back a contract for you to look at in February for renewal. And now I just want to turn to some of the things we're doing out in the community. I apologize, I'm in a lot of these pictures, but I've been busy working through meeting with each of the member staffs. We've been to Newport Richey since I last saw you at a meeting here, and we've also presented at both Pasco County and Hillsborough County. Also, 2 weeks ago, I was at the Tri-County Regional Roundtable at Ruth Eckerd Hall, where I guess Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas, the leaders come together to collaborate and exchange ideas on many of the key topics, including water. In December, we hosted a public meeting for the Eastern Pasco Wellfield, the feasibility study, and also other projects, potential projects were being studied along with in the long-term master water plan. I've already mentioned that we are conducting several community meetings along the South Hillsborough pipeline. You can see a picture there of one of the three that I mentioned earlier. And Warren Hogg presented an overview of our surface water treatment feasibility study to the Tampa Bay Estuary Program's Technical Advisory Committee. We also hosted a tour of the surface water treatment plant for Commissioner Bowles and Commissioner Scheer and some of the Tri-County Commission aides. We also participated at the Leadership Tampa Bay's Pasco County Day program. I participated in the morning. I talked to the group, and then we had them come to the Cypress Creek facility. We took them on a tour of our laboratory and our operations facilities. And finally, we participated in the STEM Explorer Fest at Largo Central Park last Saturday. So we had a lot of families that came out and they looked at their water sources and the kids. They were a lot of kids, and they did a model tower contest there, and so we had a lot of exposure and reaching out to the community and educating them on where their water comes from and conserving it. That is my report. We've been busy since November, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions from board members? No? All right. Thank you very much. We are going to move on to item 2, B2, David Jackson, General Counsel. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is a request for an attorney-client session regarding the litigation filed by WPC Industrial Contractors against the agency regarding the Eldridge Wild project. This request is to hold this attorney-client session today near the end of your agenda. Typically, we would make these requests at a meeting and then ask to have the attorney-client session at the next meeting, but due to scheduling with the no December meeting and a time-sensitive concern, we put this request on the agenda to have this session that later today. So we would be looking for a motion to approve the request for the session. Again, the special counsel and court reporter are here today. I was made aware that the time-sensitive issue isn't as big a concern, so if the preference is to have this at your February meeting, we could bring everybody back and have it then. But again, the request as set up is to have this meeting later today.
Move approval.
Commissioner Hanowitz.
Thank you, Chair. I had raised concerns when we had our one-on-one in terms of the timing of this. We're supposed to give reasonable public notice, and unless there is urgency as to why we would not give reasonable public notice, I don't see why we should be changing the way we've been doing things in the past. Whether it's time sensitive or not, I think any court would understand that we have to give reasonable notice, and we're a public agency. And therefore, if the attorney advises today and they need a public meeting and the next meeting is February and that could be done, then that's when we should do it, not today. I cannot join approving it today because I don't feel that that's reasonable public notice. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
reason for the motion and reason to do it now is that all these records, they're not going to be shown to the public anyway, not until the end when everything's done. So it's not anything to do with the public. It's just us doing it to get it done quicker.
Anyone else? Any? Yes, Ms. Hanowitz.
Well, I mean, the issue is that there are statutes that require us to give reasonable public notice. And it does involve the public because anything we do involves the public because it's public money. And this is a lawsuit. And so we have to abide by the statute. That's the way I see it. And reasonable notice, the reality is, what do we lose? It's just one more month. You give notice, and then we do it then. I mean, I just don't see the harm in to me, I rather err on the side of caution of giving reasonable notice. And I don't see a court or anyone finding that to be unreasonable.
Commissioner Wastel and then Commissioner Mariano, I'll come back to you.
Can somebody explain to me what statute in this public notice again? Can you go back over what's she referring to?
Yeah,
what's her statutory obligation is the question.
Yeah, it just says reasonable public notice. It doesn't specify it needs to be at a, at a meeting prior, it gets approved or whatever. It's exactly what it says, reasonable public notice. This matter was on the agenda. So in our opinion, it was sufficient to have it on this agenda the way it was presented and have this session at the end. So that's why we moved forward with it. It wasn't typical practice. So again, is we would do it the way, have it at the next meeting. But
I would just say there's nothing that would come to mind that could be presented to me that would make me change my mind that we need to proceed, which is probably why I'll support the motion. So.
Commissioner Mariano.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. And the public notice part, I think, is designed if the public going to hear an item and see an item being discussed. They're not going to see or hear this. We've had several meetings in Pasco County over the years, but we had these meetings noticed at the meeting of the board, and we met at lunch when we're all said and done. Public didn't get to see anything. The records are kept. They'll see it later, but they don't see it during this discussion anyway because attorney-client privilege right now.
I think Commissioner Mariano is right in the sense that it's not actually going to make any difference as to when the public sees the result of whatever happened in this litigation. They'll see it eventually when the matter is concluded. Ms. Hanowitz.
And I'll just say, I mean, the language in the statute is, shall give reasonable public notice of the time and date of the attorney-client session. This has not been our practice in the past. We've said it at a meeting and we've done it at the next meeting. The public notice has to do with the time and date of the attorney-client session. That's all. And so based on that language, but that's just my stance. Thank you.
Councilman Miranda. Okay. Commissioner Oakley.
Yes.
And then we'll call the.
Before you started the question, we already had a motion by Jack Mariano, and I also seconded.
So we do have a motion from Commissioner Mariano, seconded by Commissioner Oakley, to go ahead with the meeting after our directly following the conclusion of our business on this agenda. All those in favor, please indicate on your screen.
Mr. Chair, the motion passed 8-1.
Okay, thank you very much. We are going to move on now to item number B3, which is the Water Conservation and Protection Mini Grant Program Awards. And I'm going to turn the mic over now to Brandon Moore, our Public Communications Manager. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, board members. Today I'll provide a brief update on our mini grant program, and then we'll announce the 2025 grant recipients. And no formal action is required from you today, but afterwards I'll invite you all down to take photos with our grant recipients. They're all here today. So since 2008, Tampa Bay Water has provided more than $400,000 to community projects through this grant program. It's a very important component of our outreach and education efforts as it helps us reach more people by partnering with organizations who share our commitment to environmental stewardship. The program funds community groups, nonprofit groups, schools, and teachers. And this is all for activities that help conserve and protect our drinking water sources. And thanks to the board's ongoing support, we continue to provide organizations in our region with resources to make positive impacts on our environment and water resources, which is a great public service to the residents of Tampa Bay. Now, last year, Tampa Bay Water funded teacher workshops with STEM-focused activities on source water protection that can be used in lesson plans. We funded an educational hub for hands-on activities and source water protection programming for the Girl Scouts. And we did community cleanups along the Hillsborough River to remove litter and debris and improve water quality and raise awareness about source water protection in our region. And at the board's request last year to expand this program, we increased the available funding this year to $50,000. And we also expanded the program scope to include water conservation projects in addition to source water protection projects. The program is now called the Water Conservation and Protection Mini Grant Program. Now, the program still offers the same amount per organization. It's $2,000, between $2,000 and $10,000. And this year, we received 29 applications requesting more than $225,000, although 2 applications came in after the deadline. So we evaluated 27 projects, and they were reviewed by a selection committee in accordance with Sunshine Law. The selection committee meeting was advertised on Tampa Bay Water's website and on the Florida Administrative Register. So there were many great projects, but we selected 7. We could only select that based on the budget. So the 7 projects this year go to the Florida Botanical Gardens Foundation, the Girl Scouts of West Central Florida, Marine Exploration Center, the Pasco Education Foundation, Tampa Bay Butterfly Foundation, and the newspaper and education program with the Tampa Bay Times, and the Water Warrior Alliance. So now I'll invite a representative from each organization to come up here quickly to tell you about their projects. And then once they have completed their remarks, you will all come down and take a photo with each of them and a big check. So first up, we have the Florida Botanical Gardens Foundation. They'll receive $3,000 for their Conserving and Protecting Water with Micro Irrigation and More project. Here to tell you about this is Margaret Gates. She is a board member and project manager for the foundation.
Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here today to accept the grant on behalf of the Florida Botanical Garden Foundation. Our project theme for this project is water protection and conservation. You depend on water, water depends on you. We plan 2 separate displays in the Florida Botanical Gardens, each on a different Saturday of the month. So every month there'll be 2. One of the displays will focus on conservation and protection of water, and the other display will focus on micro-irrigation. The micro-irrigation display will also include a hands-on micro-irrigation workshop. The idea of this, the goal, is to establish a good comfort level of the participants in the workshop with micro-irrigation. Also, the Florida-friendly landscaping staff who are based out at the Botanical Gardens are going to participate in the micro-irrigation workshops. So we're delighted to have them involved as well. Both displays will be colorful and engaging, and we're going to have interesting and informative handouts as well. So we're very excited to get this project underway. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Margaret. Next up, the Girl Scouts of West Central Florida will receive $8,800 for its Camp Wailani Water Conservation Academy project. And here is Clara Mole, the Chief Development Officer for the Girl Scouts.
Good morning, Board of Directors. The title of our project this year is Camp Wailani Water Conservation Academy. It's going to be at our Camp Wailani, which is in Pinellas County in Palm Harbor. Thousands of girls visit that camp every week. and they learn outdoor skills, swimming, kayaking, and archery and camping. Wailani is also home to our marine lab and our summer camp. This year project, we will start a program to teach the girls about water conservation, source water protection, and the importance of protecting our water resources. We will pilot this program at our summer camp, and then we will do a presentation like we did in September when we received our previous grant, Wonders of Water. We are excited to bring a similar project to Palm Harbor where we can serve more girls. And of course, girls who complete the project will receive a patch that they can display on their vest. We thank you very much for the support that you give us and our ability to build girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. Thank you.
Next is the Marine Exploration Center. They'll receive $8,800 for their Marine Exploration Mobile Project. And here is Zachary Ostroff, the curator of living exhibits for the center.
Good morning, everybody. Zach Ostroff from Marine Exploration Center. Very excited to be here today. So we have a mobile aquarium that we have begun taking around Pinellas County, particularly to public events like the St. Petersburg Science Festival and others, and also to school groups with a target for Title I schools in our area, which we have many. Those are students and organizations that don't have the ability to travel to destinations of marine science education like Florida Aquarium or the Tampa Baywatch Discovery Center at the pier. And in our mobile aquarium, we have several displays in which we're able to focus on different organisms or habitats and the conservation issues thereof. Funding from this mini grant will allow us to change one of those exhibits to be a focus of water conservation and stormwater runoff pollution reduction. We will have direct illustrations of people's individual choices and how they can their choices impact their local environment, and also have directions for individuals to go to resources like those provided by Tampa Bay Water to reduce their energy or their water consumption, find their own resources for rebates for water conservation actions and things like that. So we're very excited to get this program started for 2025, and I'm excited to see where we take it. Thank you very much.
Next, we have the Pasco Education Foundation. They'll receive $5,000 for protecting watersheds, enhancing ecosystem health, and ensuring clean water educational initiatives at the Starkey Environmental Education Center. And here is Stacy Capagrosso, the president of the Pasco Education Foundation.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. I am here also with Mark Butler, who is our senior supervisor for math and science for our district. On behalf of the Pasco Education Foundation and our district, I want to express our sincere gratitude for your support and funding for this grant. Your investment allows us to implement impactful educational programs and initiatives that address critical issues such as protecting watersheds, enhancing ecosystem health, and ensuring clean drinking water for our community. Through this funding, we are able to educate approximately 6,500 seventh grade students in Pasco County about how watersheds influence water quality and drinking water safety through our Watershed Ambassador Program. We also will empower high school students through the Eco Researchers Programming, equipping them with the skills to advocate for clean water and ecosystem protection, and also foster active stewardship by engaging students in restoration projects and water quality monitoring. Beyond the classroom, your support extends the program's influence to the broader Pasco County community as students share their knowledge and inspire behavioral changes, such as reducing stormwater pollution and supporting conservation efforts. This project would not be possible without your commitment to education and the environment. Thank you for your participation, your partnership, and support in making this vision a reality. Thank you.
All right, now the Tampa Bay Butterfly Foundation will receive $10,000 for its Save Our Water, Save Our Butterflies project. And I'm going to invite Carissa Villa, Operations and Education Director for the foundation. Anita Camacho.
Chris is coming. My name's Anita Camacho. I'm the president of the Tampa Bay Butterfly Foundation. Good morning to everyone here. And we want to express how incredibly grateful we are for this opportunity that has been provided to us by Tampa Bay Water for this grant award. This generous support is creating fantastic opportunities to expand our mission, the protection of butterflies, the native plants that they rely on, conservation, public education, and research. This will go a long way to helping our education process, which we say we start with age 3 to 103. We've literally had that age group in some of our presentations, and we do a lot of kids' education. We will be reaching out to Title I schools. We've already successfully secured one that was ready to start their curriculum with us in 2 weeks, which this funding will for sure help us with that. We also will be doing plantings, native plantings, which has proven to provide, to reduce the amount of water that is required. We know 50% of the water that is being used is going on our lawns, and lawns do not have a place in our landscape. We really need to increase native plantings to increase biodiversity and help our ecosystem where we all live. And at some point, we know this precious water resource is needed for our health and our safety to continue our livelihood. Without it, we're not going to be here. So why butterflies? Butterflies are an indicator species. They tell us how our ecosystem is doing. We know that the bug population as a whole, not just butterflies, has declined rapidly. We have heard about the monarch species. That is the charismatic, most popular butterfly in the world, most studied butterfly in the world, but we have over 200 species of butterflies in Florida. There are a lot of opportunities to help our ecosystem by helping the bugs. Without the bugs, we will not survive. They provide 1/3, at minimum 1/3 of every bite of food we eat, and over 90% of our plants are pollinated by pollinators. So we need to plant native, we need to plant what belongs in our ecosystem. Florida friendly, it does not mean native. Native plants are what support our ecosystem, what helps reduce the hurricane effect, slows the winds, and helps the water get cleaned as it goes through the water system. So planting native is critical, and helping our butterflies is one of the ways we do that. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us.
Commissioner Mariano.
I'd just like to say, I'm Jack Meyer from Pasco County. Commissioner Oakley, I think, would feel exactly the same way. We've got a tree mitigation fund where we can give trees, plants away, native species as well. I'd love to work with you as far as all our public buildings, all our schools, et cetera, to try to help you go further with it.
Would love to do that. And you all have received one of our brochures. We invite you to our facility in South Tampa. We're on Henderson Boulevard. Our website is butterflytampa.com. We have a wonderful nature center and a demonstration garden in the back, which we look to be expanding as part of the grant funding that we're doing here today. And we work in the Tri-County area and beyond. So we look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we have the Tampa Bay Times Newspaper and Education Program, who will receive $9,700 for its BA Pinellas County Water Protector Project. And here to present is Jody Pushkin of the Newspaper and Education Program.
Thank you. We are very excited to be here and accept this grant today. This grant will provide curriculum supplemental lessons for elementary school students in Pinellas County schools, all 95 charter and public schools. We'll be reaching about 30,000 students. We will also be holding a teacher workshop to teach teachers about how to use the materials in their classrooms. And we will also be having a contest for the students as part of the publication. We're very grateful for the grant, and we want to thank you.
All right, finally, we have the Water Warrior Alliance will receive $5,000 for its Artivism, transforming upcycled debris into a community art project. And here to tell you about this is Josh Keller, the Vice President of the Alliance.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Josh Keller, and I'm the Vice President of Water Warrior Alliance. I want to express my gratitude to Tampa Bay Water for their $5,000 mini grant, which helps us merge art and activism to address environmental challenges. Your support directly fuels our mission to inspire change. Artivism is where art meets activism. It's about using creative expression to raise awareness and spark solutions for environmental issues. As the Water Warrior Alliance, we organize eco-art workshops and use upcycled materials like fishing line and other marine debris. These projects educate participants about pollution while also empowering them to take action. With this grant, we'll continue to expand workshops to underserved communities, collaborate with local artists, and transform marine debris into useful materials like 3D printer filament. Our goal is to engage 1,000 participants this year, divert hundreds of pounds of waste out of our waterways, and inspire behavioral change. We invite you to join our artivism events, share in our successes, and help amplify this movement. Thank you to Tampa Bay Water. Thanks to Tampa Bay Water, artivism is proving that creativity can drive environmental stewardship. Together, we can make a lasting impact. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again to all the grant recipients and the programs that you're managing. They really do help protect and conserve our drinking water sources. And thank you again to our board of directors for your continued support. Mr. Chairman, that's all we have today. I'll turn it back over to you for questions and comments.
Any questions or comments from the board? What a wonderful group of projects. That was very, very interesting. Congratulations. Are we going to, Commissioner Eggers, do you? No. Oh, okay. Are we going to go down and present the awards?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Everybody
very good.
Yep.
So I think everyone will go down for the photographs? Yes. All righty.
Yes, sir. Actually, we have one at the house that my daughter flooded out and brought this white one ready. I took pictures for my grandson. Real near term.
Well, if we do it here, then
One of my favorite sent me a picture.
I know.
That's because I watched my picture. That guy also, Miranda.
Yeah, I think.
Scribbling over 1 second and then going on for another 5 seconds to tell us that. I shouldn't have done that.
I like
just
that.
Didn't help myself.
No, I like that.
He just irritates.
With this pen?
No, I had no neighbor. And then complaining about a lost second.
Really? And it wasn't, by the way. It was over. I waited.
It was actually a second over.
Of
That's
course.
what they start counting up then.
All right. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get back to business. The fun part is over. All right. We are going to move on now to item number C1, which is the first of a number of action items that we have this morning.
Good morning. My name is Amelia Brown. I'm the Demand Management Program Manager, and I'll be providing an update today on the year-end results from the Tampa Bay WaterWise program. And at the end of this presentation, I'll request approval of a third amendment to the cooperative funding agreement with the Southwest Florida Water Management District. So as you probably know, Tampa Bay WaterWise is our regional water conservation rebate program, and our aim is to save up to 3.8 million gallons per day by 2030, and to do so at a lower cost than developing new supplies. Our member governments help to guide the program's development. EGIA is our third-party rebate administrator, and they also manage the marketing, and the district co-funds this program. The member governments play a key role in this program. They participate in our working group, which meets monthly and is comprised of representatives from all 6 member governments, Tampa Bay Water, EGIA, and the district. Some of the key functions that our members play is guiding the program's development by deciding on changes to the rebate program, participating in the upcoming RFP process for the third-party rebate administrator, providing their expert advice because they know their customers best, and making any other types of requests or changes to the program. This image shows the 2 key metrics that we use to measure the progress of this program, and that is how much water did we save and how much did it cost? Is it cost effective? At the end of each fiscal year, we analyze billing data to measure the actual water savings from our projects. And this brought our cumulative savings total at the end of fiscal year 24 to 0.69 million gallons per day, which is tracking with the high target for 2030. The cost of this program comes out to 78 cents per 1,000 gallons, which is well below the average cost of new water supply development, which could be $3 to $11 per 1,000 gallons. So this program is a benefit to all the members and their customers, in part because it reduces the need for capital investments in the future. This graph illustrates the water savings year over year and our high goal for 2025. Of note, about 50,000 gallons per day in savings that we achieved from calculations in 2024 were simply reallocated to fiscal year 2023 because that's when those projects were completed. But the total savings remains the same. On the left, we show the gallons per day to date as of last week in January, 722,000 plus gallons per day. To date, our savings are about 30,000 gallons, and I will say that the storms in the fall delayed many of our large projects, which have now just been completed, and those savings will be hitting the books, so to speak, very soon, at which point we'll be tracking right along with how the program was performing last year. This image shows the number of devices and the rebate spend over time. So the total number of devices that we've rebated to date is over 23,000 devices. And this number is much larger than what was reported previously because many of our large projects were customizable projects and counted as one project, even though they included, say, 500 toilets, 500 showers heads, and 500 aerators. So EGIA has broken out all of the fixtures and counted them up per year that have been installed. So you can see by this metric that program year 2024 was successful, resulting in a 300% increase in the number of devices installed from 2023. And last year, we issued more rebate dollars than the previous 4 years combined. Now we're going to take a look at the program's costs. In green, you can see the rebate dollars and how they have grown year over year. Please note that the last image is our 2025 budgeted program. The administrative costs, shown in blue, have remained fairly steady year over year, and in 2024 represented just 15% of total program costs. The marketing budget has fluctuated over the years, and in the past few years, the working group approved increases to the marketing budget, recognizing how essential that budget is to grow if we also want to grow the program. So with this budget, we now have 2.5 full-time staff members who are promoting the program to our commercial and multifamily sectors. They are staff of EGIA. And again, when all of these costs and all of these savings are put together, the program comes in at 78 cents per 1,000 gallons, well below the cost of most new supplies. Looking back, we see that our single-family rebates have grown steadily year over year. The multifamily program retrofits have driven much of the success in 2024 with their large water savings, which was a result of the increased marketing budget that supports the outreach staff. We are looking to build on these successes and have therefore hired a second outreach manager and to focus on the commercial and institutional customer segments: hotels, restaurants, schools, and local governments. And water efficiency in new construction needs to be more of a focus in our program and in our communities, so that as our population grows, we are building water smart from the start. I don't really want to rebate toilets from homes that were built 5 years ago. The Tampa Bay WaterWise program has offered rebates for Florida WaterStar new construction for homes and buildings, and we are looking to increase activity in that market. Okay, now we'll shift our focus to the cooperative funding agreement with the district. The district has co-funded the Tampa Bay WaterWise program since it launched in 2020, and this third amendment is a no-cost extension for program implementation through December 2025, since there are sufficient funds remaining. Tampa Bay Water has applied for a new round of cooperative funding for the year 2026. Therefore, staff recommends board approval of the third amendment to agreement number 21 CF0003454 with the Southwest Florida Water Management District for a 1-year no-cost extension.
Any questions or comments on item C1 from board members? Commissioner Mariano?
I want to say great job on getting those numbers up, and I'm excited to see how much more is coming up. And I'm glad you mentioned the storms, because I was thinking about that. How can we actually take advantage of that more so? I think we have like 10,000 homes that have had substantial damage that are coming into us right now. And maybe if we kind of work together a little bit, and I'm sure with the other counties and cities, that maybe if we had a flyer every time someone's coming in for the application for their substantial damage reports, that we handed it right to them and say, this is available to you if you do want to change it to possibly get the rebate.
Thank you.
Commissioner Eggers, did you?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Mariano, for your comments. I was going to say the front part of that, but I like the idea at the end that you mentioned. Also, you know, when we have these savings, and we're going to talk a little bit about credits that we're going to be getting from acquiring more land over in Hillsborough County. All of that together helps reduce the capital requirements for us for new water supplies, and that's all important as we move forward. So really appreciate the increase this year and the improvements, I guess, really dramatic improvements this past year. So thank you for all your good hard work.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no more comments, can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Eggers, seconded by Councilwoman Hanowitz. Please record your vote when it pops up. There you go.
Mr. Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you very much. Item number C2 is high service pump station ball valve replacement. I believe, Mr. Carden, you're going to present that item.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Item C2 is for the approval of a construction contract at our high service pump station in Brandon. Specifically, the project will improve the reliability of the station by replacing 24-inch ball valves associated with the pumps, and it also will replace copper control piping and stainless steel materials. 3 bids were received for this project, and actually the low bidder was under the engineer's estimate. I know that's not been common lately, so it was good to see the pricing coming in like that. And so the staff is recommending approval of the high service pump station ball valve replacement to Archer Western Construction. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from board members? Seeing none.
Move approval.
Okay.
We have a motion from Councilwoman Hanowitz, seconded by Commissioner Oakley. Please record your vote.
Mr. Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you very much. We have a few items this morning related to the South Hillsborough County water supply, and I believe Mr. Hogg is going to present items C3 through C6. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I do have a series of presentations with some good news and opportunities this morning. This agency began to acquire unneeded permitted capacity from landowners in South Hillsborough County early last year. And this item is the first of 2 opportunities today to continue that practice. This is a companion item to agenda item C4, and I will request approval at the end of all 4 presentations. Land Reserve and Farmland Reserve are 2 related entities and property owners in South Hillsborough County. They have 5 properties they've identified as outlined in orange on the map that are all located in the most impacted area of the Southern Water Use Caution Area. They have agreed to sell and transfer water rights from these 5 properties and permits to Tampa Bay Water, and the quantity we would acquire ranges from 3.1 to 5.1 million gallons per day. The parties have met with the Water Management District, Hillsborough County, and EPC staff in December. We've confirmed the permitting process and the quantities, the estimated quantity range. The 6 permits, their 5 and our 1 permit, would be modified simultaneously to affect the transfer of the permitted quantities. And the final quantity for acquisition and transfer will be determined during permitting with the district in accordance with their rules. We will only pay for the quantities that we're going to acquire from them that can be transferred to our permit. That's a decision that will be made by the district as we go through the process. This transfer of quantities meets the net benefit requirements of the Southern Water Use Caution Area, the rules of the district, so it is eligible for a permit increase. This leaves 10% of the impact back to the environment for environmental restoration. The unit acquisition cost for this agreement is $3.66. That's based on the $2 per gallon of permitted capacity that we use to acquire well fields and water rights from the members in '98 and from the Florida Governmental Utilities Association in 2004. The price has been adjusted by the Consumer Price Index values since 2004 to yield this unit cost basis. As I mentioned, the transfer quantity would come to our Balm Farm water use permit in South Hillsborough County, and that transfer would yield between 3.1 and 5.17 million gallons per day of new water capacity on our permit. The final cost will be determined after the permit's issued and we know what quantity we were able to acquire and transfer. And we do have a high degree of confidence in obtaining this quantity for transfer to our permit based on discussions with the district and use of the models that have been used by them and us in the past. If this agreement is approved, we will apply to transfer the quantities to our Baum Farm water use permit, which is located on the former AgMart property purchased by Hillsborough County. The annual average quantity would increase from 775,000 gallons a day up to somewhere between 3.9 and 5.95 million gallons per day. This could be added to the potential South Hillsborough well field, also would be located on the AgMart property. Those are the green and blue shapes, using an aquifer recharge credit that we're working on with Hillsborough County. If we're successful in that negotiation, that could add another 6.1 million gallons per day to our permit. Staff recommends approval of the negotiated agreement with Land Reserve and Farmland Reserve to acquire permitted capacity as presented today. And if approved by the board, the next agenda item would be a modification of the permit to receive these quantities.
Commissioner Mariano.
Yeah, I got a question to Mr. Cardin. If we're going to be looking at buying these properties, we've been, as far as these water rights go, Pasco County's got a lot of FGOA water systems that there. We had bought one Aqua that actually U.S. Water did a great job for us doing the work for us to transmit it, but I don't think you guys bought the water rights from us. And if we get the opportunity to have those available and you to buy them from us, just like this is here, and improve, I think something we should actually start doing. And I would like you to work with my utility staff in the future too, to look at the acquisitions, because we do want to buy them all. And I think if we're going to do this with others, I think we should do it with the county as well to give people better water quality too.
Yes, sir, and I will look into that. Mr. Hogg's shaking his head. We've been actively pursuing this for a little while, and so I'm happy to look into anywhere we can find these.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I did hear a motion for approval from Commissioner Eggers. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Oakley.
Whoever.
I'll get you, Mr. Miranda. Please record your vote.
Commissioner Peters, we need your vote, please. Sorry. Mr. Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
All right, item C4.
This is the companion item to transfer the quantities just acquired from Land Reserve and Farmland Reserve to Tampa Bay Water. This again is an action item I will be needing board consideration at the end of this short presentation. Tampa Bay Water and Hillsborough County ELAP, the Environmental Lands Program, hold a water use permit on the AgMart property that was purchased by Hillsborough County. This permit is known as the Baum Farm Permit and is the recipient for the water just approved to be acquired from Land Reserve and Suburban Land Reserve. The previous acquisition from Suburban Land Reserve that was approved by the board in February of last year has increased our permit capacity to an average of 775,000 gallons per day. This permit application that's attached to the agenda item transfers the water just acquired to our permit for water supply use. Up to 5.109 million gallons a day will be permanently retired from those 5 donor permits and transferred to our Baum Farm permit. And the minimum transfer would be 3.1 million gallons per day. As I mentioned, the final quantity will be determined by the district during permitting, and is based on a groundwater flow modeling analysis in accordance with the district rules, and also provides a net benefit for the environment in the southern water use caution area. The total quantity requested for the Baum Farm permit is an average annual quantity ranging from 3.902 to 5.946 million gallons per day. Our staff coordinated the efforts and application with Land Reserve, Farmland Reserve, and Hillsborough County agencies. and the application material was reviewed at a pre-application meeting with the district and the county, and we have answered the questions raised by county staff to us. Our staff recommends approval to submit a water use permit application to the Water Management District to modify the Balm Farm permit to increase the annual average quantity up to 5.946 million gallons per day.
All right. If there are no questions or comments from board members, can we please have a motion? Moved by Councilman Miranda, seconded by Commissioner Oakley. Please record your vote.
Mr. Chairman, we need your vote, please. Thank you. Mr. Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Okay, item C5.
This is our second opportunity today to acquire permitted capacity for South Hillsborough County. This item is an agreement to acquire unneeded permit capacity from property owned by Hillsborough County. And this is the companion item to agenda item C6. And again, I will request approval following the presentation. Hillsborough County owns property just south of the C.W. Bill Young Regional Reservoir, and their property is outlined in orange in the bottom area of the map. This property has been used in the past for citrus, and most recently it's been leased for sod farming, but the county is now transitioning that property to utility land use. They'll be building facilities on the site. They've identified 344,800 gallons per day of water that is no longer needed by them and can be transferred to Tampa Bay Water. We and the county staff have been negotiating this acquisition since early 2024 and have negotiated the agreement that's attached to the agenda item. The agreement would transfer 344,800 gallons per day and transfer it to our existing South Central Hillsborough Regional well field. The agreement stipulates the simultaneous modification of our permits for an acquisition cost of $1.261 million. And that uses the same unit cost acquisition basis as I presented in the prior presentation. We have discussed this application with SwiftMud regulation staff and Hillsborough County to confirm the quantities and the benefits and the process for transfer. We have held a pre-application meeting to effect those discussions. Acquiring this permit from the county will allow us to increase the water use permit, the existing permit, by 1.546 million gallons. And the reason we can increase that quantity is because we're transferring the quantities further away from the most impacted area, so that it leaves 10% recovery for the environment to lessen the impact, and it still allows us to harvest that water at this quantity. The transfer does meet the net benefit requirements of the Water Management District, so it meets their rule criteria. We have a high degree of confidence based on our discussions and the modeling work that's been performed. Our staff recommends approval of the negotiated agreement with Hillsborough County to acquire 344,800 gallons per day of permitted water capacity. And if approved, the next item would be an application to modify our South Central well field permit to affect the quantity transfer.
Move approval.
Second. We have a motion from Councilwoman Hanowitz, seconded by Councilman Miranda. Seeing no questions or comments, please record your vote.
Mr. Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Item number C6.
One more. This is the companion item to transfer the quantities just approved for acquisition from Hillsborough County to Tampa Bay Water. The South Central Hillsborough Regional well field has a current average annual quantity of 24.95 million gallons a day and delivers water directly to the county's Lithia water treatment plant. A permit application was developed to transfer the unused quantities that was acquired from Tampa Electric, as approved in November of 2024, and also from Hillsborough County, as was just approved. This application transfers the 344,800 gallons a day from Hillsborough County and the 590,000 gallons acquired from TECO late last year. The existing wellfield permit capacity can be increased by a total of 1.9727 million gallons per day, and that's in accordance with the district rule and still provides a net benefit for the environment in the southern water use caution area. Again, we do have a high degree of confidence in this transfer quantity based on our prior actions and discussions with the district. We've coordinated with TECO and Hillsborough County agencies in the development of this permit application. The material was reviewed at a pre-application meeting and was reviewed by Hillsborough County staff. We have responded to questions that were asked to us by EPC staff, and we're clarifying some final questions this week. Our staff recommends approval to submit a water use permit application to SwiftMud to increase our South Central Hillsborough Regional Wellfield water use permit. And this is significant because this is a water transfer that requires no new infrastructure. This is water that we can use in our existing wellfield infrastructure.
Move for approval.
Okay, we have a move for approval from Mayor Davis, seconded by Councilman Miranda. Any additional comments? If not, please record your vote.
Other than yay. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great work. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Okay, we have two presentations and reports this morning. The first item, D1, is Elisa Rea, who is the Director of Water Resources from our own Hillsborough County, and John McCary, Planning Section Manager from Hillsborough County, will be joining her at the podium. This is an information item only, and no vote will be asked for at the end of this presentation. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Lisa Ray. I'm the Director of Water Resources for Hillsborough County, and John McCary, our Planning Section Manager, will be joining me here as well. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our system. We operate the third largest water and sewer utility in the state of Florida and one of the top 50 in the nation. Our Northwest and South Central service area have a combined 300 square mile reach. At this point, the growth we have seen has been tremendous. And since the last time I presented to you in the fall of 2023, we have added 52 miles of new water pipe, 64 miles of new wastewater pipe, 22 new lift stations, and 805 new manholes. So that's a lot of infrastructure that has been added in the last couple of years. To tell you more about the growth and to give you some perspective on it, I'm going to turn the mic over to John McCary.
Morning, Chair, members of the board, John McCary, Hillsborough County Water Resources Department. So, navigating this. Can you get the next slide?
Just arrow.
Mouse isn't working.
No, it's not moving now.
And I broke it right away.
Yeah. I guess use that. There. Just.
All right, we'll get through this. So, as Lisa mentioned, I have an opportunity here to talk about some of the unique challenges growth has presented for this region, and then in particular, Hillsborough County. And I think in order to do so, to provide some perspective, I think it's worth looking really quick at the national level and kind of paring that down to Hillsborough County. And so I provided this link. Anybody who has access to the slides in the packet has a link to data from the Census Bureau for all 3,100 counties in the country. Their population increased from 2020 to 2023. I'll pare that down really quickly. Maricopa County around Phoenix is #1 in growth. Most of the other counties are in Texas or in Florida. If you look at the map of Florida here on the right, you see there are 12 counties highlighted in green that are all in the top 31, which is the top 1% of growth in the entire country. Now, other counties are also experiencing growth, just highlighting the ones here that are the top 1%. And even locally, really you have 3 of the 4 pretty close proximity or member governments here. So you have Polk, Hillsborough, and Pasco are all 3 of the top 4. So in order to drive down a little bit just for Hillsborough County specifically, we really have what we call kind of a tale of 2 systems. So Hillsborough County's largest 2 systems, the Northwest and South Central, are bifurcated by the city of Tampa. Northwest is just that, north and west of the city of Tampa, and it hasn't really experienced the growth that we've seen in South Central. Its challenges are more older, aged infrastructure and the R&R work associated with that. Our South Central system has some older regions, but really it's been dominated by growth. I'm going to illustrate this in just a water demand figure. So this is just under 20 years of historical data for our Hillsborough County's Northwest system. The light green kind of dashed line shows daily flows for the last 20 years, and that thicker yellow line is the rolling annual average over that period. And you see really our Northwest system has hovered a little above, a little below 20 million gallons a day and really peaked early 2024 at just right at 22 million gallons per day. In contrast, our South Central system saw a 22 million gallon per day increase in the 7-year period from 2017 to 2024. So we experienced an entire Northwest system worth of demand in 7 years in our South Central system, but we didn't install all the Northwest system worth of infrastructure in our South Central system, which has led to a lot of opportunities that you've heard some today with Tampa Bay Water and Hillsborough County, and you'll hear some more about some of those projects here in just a minute. So to further kind of illustrate where this is occurring in Hillsborough County system, I've shown this kind of busy map that says where development has started in the last 7 years. And I emphasize started. There's other regions where we've had other connections that have contributed to that increase in the last 7 years. This is where developments have started. The red ones have since completed. So in the last 7 years, they've started and have completed. And these green areas are those that have in some status of progress from they could have started design to early phases of construction. And just highlight here real quick some of the collaboration that you guys have heard about for the last few years. Tampa Bay Water implementing their booster pump station to deliver more water to Lithia, and Hillsborough County implementing their booster pump station south of Lithia to push that water further south. And we're happy to state that our large transmission main project to help some of the pressure issues that we've had in the south and just additional delivery was implemented and put in service the end of 2024. But there's still a need, and there's more projects on the way. And I also want to highlight that we've really planned and developed our projects for our existing urban service area. And there are some opportunities here that we'll have with these challenges for urban service area expansion. And one area I want to highlight is this area, this thicker black area that I won't go into the naming, but effectively the 2 and the RP2 and WVR2 stands for 2 units per acre. This area is going to be brought into our urban service area and have a higher density. That higher density could result in an additional 5 million gallons per day of potable water need. Now, the opportunity we have here is this is still early on. It's not yet been brought in, and even when it does, this will grow over time. So there's an opportunity to mitigate a good portion of that 5 million gallons a day with additional water conservation measures. Beyond this area, there's discussion about 2 areas that are adjacent, one at the north end, one at the south end with our South Central service area. The I-4 corridor, which is really broader than what I would consider just the I-4 area, but bridges kind of the north end of our system in the areas between the city of Tampa and the city of Plant City, and the area known as Little Manatee South, which would be the southern portion into Manatee County, which is also one of those fast-growing regions. So I will turn it back over at this point to Lisa, who's going to talk some more about some of the projects Hillsborough County is implementing.
Thank you, John. So I'm going to go ahead and start by discussing a couple of initiatives that you've heard of from other member governments. That's going to be our AMI program, as well as the lead and copper rule. So Hillsborough County initially conceived of the AMI program back in 2017 and began installation in 2019. However, we experienced significant supply chain disruptions due to COVID, and in 2022, we were still seeing delays of up to 10 to 11 months on any orders for meters that were coming in. We took advantage of that delay to take a step back and analyze where we were installing the meters so we could prioritize areas that had meters that were older than 25 years old. And we used GIS to help us do that. And you can see a couple of maps that reflect that on the right. Since then, the delivery of meters has improved significantly, and we have seen a tremendous increase in the number of meters we've been able to install over the last several years. Based on this, we do anticipate that we will be meeting our goal of having all meters changed out by 2030. And just to note, all new development does get AMI meters from the get-go. We're not putting analog meters into the new areas. One of the advantages that you've heard about from the AMI metering is that real-time monitoring of water use. This right here is an actual email we received from a resident after we were able to identify a leak or an ongoing issue with his system that he was not aware of. He was very appreciative of the responsiveness and sent us this email, so I thought I'd take advantage to share that with you. Now, the lead and copper is one that you've also heard about from other member governments. All utilities were required to do an inventory of the service lines. The intent behind this is to reduce the amount of lead and copper that leaches into the drinking water when it enters the house. Historically, way back when, lead was used as a pipe material. In 1980, Hillsborough County outlawed the use of it. They changed the building codes. So when we were doing our inventory, we were able to use historical records to see when houses were built, as well as field investigations to actually lay eyes on each of these service connections. We did complete our inventory by October as required by EPA. And on our website, at the link here below, you'd be able to connect to a map that will give you information about your house. You can zoom in on it, see what your service line is, and what material it is. So I do recommend that any residents of Hillsborough County take advantage of that. So now on to a project that relates directly to one of the ones that Warren was talking about, which is the recharge credits. We have developed over the last, probably 15 years, what was priorly known as NARP, North Hillsborough Aquifer Recharge, and SHARP, South Hillsborough Aquifer Recharge. Well, we're now calling it countywide Hillsborough Aquifer Recharge, instead of having two separate areas. So you'll see a slight name change there, but the concept is still the same. It is to help reduce saltwater intrusion, and it creates a benefit to the environment by increasing the amount of fresh water that is available farther inland. It has been shown that this program is working in the most impacted area of the SWCA, and because of that, we will be able to work with Tampa Bay Water to leverage some water credits that will be able to be used at the Balm well field. So we will continue to coordinate very closely with Warren and his team on this as we move forward. We do have another project that is about to go out. We will be using the construction manager at risk delivery method. We plan to advertise in the next month, and this is the new drinking water facility. We are calling it the One Water Drinking Water Facility. It is located in the Balm area, and it would be adjacent to the potential new well field, also adjacent to a new Tampa Bay Water facility. And segment B of the pipeline that is in design right now will end at this location. We anticipate a budget at this point of $110 million, and we'll be collaborating very closely with Tampa Bay Water since all of our properties are adjacent to each other and the pipes will be moving from one location to the other. So working together with Tampa Bay Water is a very important part of what we do to make sure that we provide potable water to our current residents and those that are moving here. And with that being said, Warren will be presenting on the projects that you see listed here. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them now, or we could wait, and after Warren does his presentation, we could do some joint Q&A. Thank you very much.
Looks like the joint Q&A is the choice, so we will see you again shortly. Thank you for that. And Warren, you are up next on item D2, which is the South Hillsborough County Program Update.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. We have an update for you this morning on the South Hillsborough program, and this is just for your information. This program has a lot of parts. I'd like to work through a number of slides, but I'll do that fairly quickly because we wanted to give you an overview because we'll be coming back to the board with several items in the coming year to request your approval. So this is an overview as we drill in deeper in the coming months. I'll summarize the multiple infrastructure and water supply components, and then at the end, I'll note those future actions and approximate times when we'll be back in front of the board. I'll start with a quick overview of the service area and our demands. This program focuses solely on the South Hillsborough County service area. It's shown in orange in the lower right-hand part of the map. This shows the current service boundary, including a recent expansion. We provide water to the service area through 3 existing points of connection, and we'll also add the new Balm point of connection at the end of the new South Hillsborough pipeline, as Lisa mentioned. Water demand has steadily increased in this service area for a number of years, and the average for the last 12 months is 55.8 million gallons a day. That's actually 3 million a day less than it was a year ago, and that's due to the water restrictions that were in place for most of the last year, and also some cooler, wetter weather, so it's helped to bring demands down considerably. Each bar shows the monthly demand or delivery to South Hillsborough County through these 3 points of connection. And the next slide will focus only on the middle or light blue part, which is the central point of connection. This is the monthly water delivery of Tampa Bay Water's regional water to Hillsborough County's central point of connection. In the summer of 2023, we identified an opportunity to increase the water delivery through this point of connection to the county. We worked with county staff on a solution, and the county's made some operational changes to the north end of their system, and they've been consistently taking an average of 3 million gallons per day of water at this location than they were before. The additional water supply delivery to that point of connection was so important because we were above our water use permit limit for the South Central Hillsborough well field. The additional 3 million gallons of water that's delivered to Central each day is 3 million gallons a day less than we had to take from the well field. That's helped us reduce our running average for the facility. We will remain close to the permit limit for the rest of this year and until the pipeline is constructed, but the permit modification application that was approved by the board earlier will help us significantly to come back into compliance and stay in compliance and be close for the rest of that period. Water demand projections for this service area continue to increase, and the projections that we are showing here are based on the current zoning densities within the current service area boundary. We will continue to work with the county staff to understand what potential impacts or increases to demand would come with changes in zoning or expansion of the service area. I'll now summarize the infrastructure projects we've been working on to bring new water to South Hillsborough County. These are the projects that we've completed and also highlights the new South Hillsborough County pipeline. I have some additional information in the following slides. The first project was an expansion of the high service pump station. This is at our regional facility site, And this project increased the pumping capacity at the site by an average of 10 to 12 million gallons of water each day. This allowed some extra water to go down the Brandon South Central pipeline to bring more regional water into South Hillsborough County. We identified a bottleneck that was restricting that regional water delivery to Lithia water treatment plant at the point of connection. We replaced a control valve in March of 2022, and that allowed 1 million gallon a day of additional regional water to feed the county's Lithia treatment plant. To deliver the additional water to South Hillsborough County, we needed to add pressure to that pipeline. So we installed a booster station about midway on that pipeline from our regional site to Lithia, and that has increased the regional water flow by about 7 million gallons per day. And that's inclusive of all the projects that I've already mentioned, high service pumping and the control valve. But that's an average of 7 million gallons a day of regional water we've been able to send to South Hillsborough. That also is significant because that's 7 million a day that we did not pump from the well field on a daily basis. The long-term solution to meet the growing demand in South Hillsborough County is the new South Hillsborough pipeline. This project is the result of the joint project agreement with Hillsborough County from August of 2020, and the map shows the board-approved route. It's a pipeline 26 miles long, up to 60 inches in diameter, but this pipeline can deliver up to 65 million gallons per day of water supply from the region to Hillsborough County. Segment A, the north part, is being funded by Tampa Bay Water, and the southern leg is segment B, is being funded by Hillsborough County. We will jointly share a reimbursement of $147.9 million in cooperative funding from the Water Management District. And this pipeline is scheduled to be in service by late 2028. The other part of the work that we've been undertaking is bringing new water supply capacity and managing the demand for water. We continue to work closely, and we meet with the county on a monthly basis on demand management actions to help educate the public on how to use water responsibly. The county helps to promote our Tampa Bay WaterWise program and educates their customers on water restrictions and the best landscape and irrigation practices. The Water Management District helped us out tremendously last year with water restrictions, and that helped us get through a very dry time and significantly lowered demands in our area. We've worked hard to maximize our existing infrastructure, not just those brick and mortar projects that I reviewed, but also by increasing the South Central Hillsborough Regional Well Field. We started with an average annual quantity of 24.1 million gallons a day, and we increased that by 850,000 gallons a day in July of 22. And we'll increase that permit again with the permit application that was just improved, up to 26.92 million gallons per day. Now, even at that higher rate, I would like to note that the well field has produced over 27 million gallons a day on a 12-month average basis between October of 23 and February of 24. We have, and we've had for many years, we have an extensive aquifer monitoring and water quality monitoring program at this well field, and we've seen no environmental effects from that higher pumping rate. We'll continue to work with the district and EPC staff to look at the data that we collect in the future to make sure that the higher pumping rate from the well field does not impact the environment or any other legal users in the area. Our second water supply project is centered around the new Balm Farm permit that we've discussed today. We acquired 250,000 gallons from the property, and that was water that the prior landowner could not transfer to their other farms. We increased with an acquisition of water from Suburban Land Reserve late last year, and with the actions today, we'll apply to increase this permit to 3.1 to 5.1 million gallons per day. This is significant because it adds new water supply capacity in a region where new water is capped. We continue to negotiate with Hillsborough County staff on a long-term agreement for aquifer recharge credits. And this long-term agreement and development of the potential South Hillsborough well field could result in another 6 million gallons a day of water for the service area. Combined with the 4 to 6 million gallon a day at Baum Farm, that could be a well field fully realized at 10 to 12 million gallons per day. As I close, I would like to highlight several board actions that we anticipate bringing to you in the coming months. And these are things that are necessary to complete the South Hillsborough pipeline and a new well field at the former Agmart property. These are the anticipated board actions on this and the following slide that we expect to bring to you this year. I reinstated an amended joint project agreement with the county to include the designation of the new Baum point of connection, add new infrastructure components that the county has requested, and to update the funding amounts for the county on the pipeline segments, and also how the district's cooperative funding dollars will be shared between the two segments. An agreement with the county to exchange water rights that the agency holds on the former Cone Ranch well field in exchange for well sites and easements on the ELAP portion of the Agmart property. That would be wells from the South Hillsborough well field, that's a potential project. An agreement with the county to acquire well sites and easements on the water resources portion of that property, and that would be for the new point of connection, water treatment facilities, and additional wells. As I mentioned, we're working on a long-term agreement with the county for the aquifer recharge credits to fully realize the quantity from the new potential South Hillsborough well field, and also modifying the district's cooperative funding agreement to update the funding allocation between the two pipeline segments. We will have additional eminent domain resolutions that are required to construct the new pipeline, contract amendments for design, construction, and program management to incorporate the new infrastructure components requested and needed by Hillsborough County. All of this will have new environmental resources permit applications to complete the pipeline, and the guaranteed maximum price packages for the construction contract for the pipeline. That was a lot packed in a short period of time, so I know that Lisa and John are still here to help answer any questions you may have.
Commissioner Wustel.
Thank you. I have many questions, but I'll only ask a few. Can you go to slide 8? Thank you. Managing growth is probably the biggest bane and challenge of a local elected official. There is much animosity and resistance to it, as you can imagine. One challenge that we have in Hillsborough County is that, we went through several years of moratoriums, meaning no more building. I know you know what that means, but for the general public to understand. And during that time, there's a supply and demand for growth. And when we said no, well, our friends surrounding us were like, well, we have the capacity and we'll facilitate you. So one of the real challenges that we have now in Hillsborough is that we've seen, and this is germane, Chair, I'll get to the point. We've seen extreme growth on the north border of Hillsborough across the Pasco and Hillsborough line. I think that Hillsborough residents would be stunned to see the amount of permitting that has gone on, and we absorb much of that traffic south down onto our infrastructure. Of course, all of the infrastructure funds, though, to manage those impacts remain in the county above, and that's a right of the surrounding counties to do that. And it's technically Hillsborough's own fault for not managing that growth properly, and now we see the exact problem has now happened on our south border. As we resist the growth and the other counties properly have managed it over the previous years, we're going to continue to see those impacts from those new neighbors that we have that are on our borders. So when we see these future demand projections, and the words that you said that you were inquiring to the counties and partnering with us on future projections of expanding those urban service areas, which has been a very controversial topic in Hillsborough County. What I want to make sure that we don't leave out is that if we continue to be extremely heavy-handed in restrictive growth management, I don't want to leave out, especially since Manatee isn't even in our conversation as this board, but they do impact Hillsborough County in their decision making just because they're not on this interlocal agreement. I don't want to leave out of the conversation that if we continue to say no about expanding that urban service area, what other challenges might that bring to the area? And I think that that's a big picture item that I don't want to be lost on us in Hillsborough County. With that being said, if the answer is that we absolutely do not have the fresh potable water that can be allotted to growth, well, then the answer must be no. And that is something that I want to hear. If that we are reasonably concluding that there is absolutely not going to be enough potable water to manage some of these projections on here, well, then Commissioner Cohen and I need to know that yesterday. But if that's not where we're going and we think that we can accommodate reasonable growth, then that is something that I want to hear and be able to communicate to the public. But there's just a lot of emotion that goes into growth, and there's a lot of fear that people will spread, that gets spread on the internet every day. So do we have a timeline, I guess, of how those conversations are going in terms of, I know that we've had conversations about monitoring permitting and having that open conversation about what the surrounding counties are doing in our interlocal agreement in terms of permitting, and how far we are into a more collaborative effort on managing those things. And second is that before the meeting started, I was talking to Director Ray about the purple lines for reclaimed water, especially since it was only last year or 2 years ago that this board, maybe last year, that we had the revelation that 50% of our potable water is dumped onto meeting HOA requirements. I will keep hammering HOA requirements until I'm not here. We have no requirement in Hillsborough County, but is there some type of reasonable incentive that says, hey, we understand that the purple pipes are another increase to the cost of your building, but we can give some type of incentive or bonus towards your potable water reduction by instilling those pipes, so that maybe it's a wash in the long term? Because I just really think that it's a significant variable and revelation that 50% of our potable water is dumped onto lawns. And if there is something that we can incentivize them, and we have the math, we know how much it costs per reclaimed water gallon to dump onto the lawn, and we know how much per gallon it costs to dump potable water, which is more expensive, onto the lawn. There must be somebody smarter than me that can maybe propose an idea that incentivizes us and the development community to make the choice to do those purple lines. So if you can just at least elaborate on how we're doing in the conversations of collaborative permitting, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
I will start and address the water supply piece of this. This agency exists with the unequivocal obligation to meet the members' demands, and we do that through our master water plan. So that's our target of taking the demand projections for all the members, looking into the future to see what's coming, what could come, and developing projects to be ready for it. So the water supplies for the members, we work with all of your staffs to understand those future demands, and we plan to meet those. That's why we exist. We deliver water and we plan for future water. Your question on coordinating with others on permitting, I believe, is with the neighboring counties for the infrastructure projects. Mm-hmm. And that may be something that the county staff could better address, since we deal solely with water supply.
Unfortunately, I do not have an answer for that. So I'll need to get with Adam Gronley and go ahead and see what I can find out. Regarding incentivizing Purple Pipe, we definitely are encouraging that and would love to go that direction. A large amount of this growth is going to be in the corridor where we're going to have our pipelines going from our new One Water wastewater plant. So there is a reclaimed pipe that is coming down that direction. Incentivizing those residential developments to use the Purple Pipe would be a huge offset. And really, as was said earlier in one of the presentations, and I'm sorry, Warren, I don't remember which one, maybe it was the conservation, the WaterWise presentation. Any water we can save through conservation measures is capital project money we have saved. So looking at that as well with these new developments as they're coming in. So I'll get with Adam and talk this through with him and see what we can come back to the board with. Well, Hillsborough's board.
Okay.
Commissioner Oakley and then Commissioner Mariano.
In Pasco County, we've been, ever since we started our growth, we've been adding Purple Pipe and reclaimed water to every household so that we're not putting potable water on the yards of those houses. That's a little different in Hillsborough County because of the fact they had so much infrastructure and everything built in, it's hard to put the pipe in. But we're new in a lot of our development, so we were able to have connectivity on with the development to the north and have reclaimed water piped to each home. So, and it's at a savings to the public, but there is a cost to it. So the other thing about that is, I know Hillsborough and also Pinellas County have reclaimed water dumped into the bay or in the Gulf, and basically right now, Pasco County is running short of reclaimed water for the houses. For every 4 houses that are built, they only provide enough for 1 house for reclaimed water. So there's a big demand for reclaimed water. I know in Pasco, if there was a way there could be a connectivity on some of that water that you turn in the bay, which one day that's going to come to be, Pasco's willing to take some of that water. So we can use reclaimed water. We have people are running short of water now. They can't all water we're reclaimed because there's not enough. So, but it's been a big project for us to look at that out in the future, and we make sure we put reclaimed water in those projects in the future. We also have a well fill at the Phillips Ranch out there northwest Dade City, and that Phillips Ranch gets 2 million gallons a day of reclaimed water into their property, and has been able to bring back the environment of the swamps and things in that area. It also, our water moves east to west or east to northwest, and so Crossbar Ranch wellfield actually gets more water in that wellfield. Plus, we're not pumping the wellfields all over like we used to years ago, which dried everything up. The environment has been protected by Tampa Bay water, and it's come back. And we've been working along with that, with Tampa Bay water and also SwiftBud. So,
Commissioner Mariano.
Yeah, Commissioner Oakley, you actually covered just where I was going to go as well. But I think Hillsborough and the city of Tampa should really work closely on that Howard Card plant, that 55, 60 million gallons a day going into the bay, even though it's very advanced treated, which is better than what it was before and it's helped. I would be looking at taking all that water and putting it right into this area we're talking about. That's your first opportunity. As far as the development community, we'd be happy to talk with you about how we work with our developers, because they all want to put it in at this point in time. They all see the value to getting water discounted, makes their community look better for the environment as well. It's a great way to go. It's worked great for us. And like Commissioner Oakley says, we can't supply enough right now. So we're looking for ways to try to increase that every step of the way.
Councilman Miranda.
Thank you, Chairman. You know, I'm just sitting here listening. And just today on the 23 million gallons of water we did for South Hillsborough County, that's over, am I correct, the numbers that you landed, you bought the permits for and so forth, it's about 23 million gallons, isn't it?
No, sir. I think we were going to add about 5 million.
Yeah, now, but there's a long other things that are going on here that equals to, I wrote it down, but I'm not going to go look at it again. Anyway, whatever the number is, that's a large percentage when you look at it to the whole city of Tampa's 82 million gallons a day average that we have to maintain under the law, the rules with Swift Mud. So I'm just sitting here listening, and everybody's talking about reclaim. How about changing the way we live? I have no grass. I got rocks. My unit of water is 1 unit of water a month. Everybody bathes, I think. So what are we doing? We got to make it harder, not easier. Reclaim water sooner or later. You're going to have to drink it, or you're going to have to use it for drinking water. May not like that, hear it, but that's a fact. When you look at Australia, look at Israel, you look at Singapore, I haven't heard of one death there yet. And they use it. You look at Adequan Valley, you look at Lake Lanier. There's other areas in the United States water that do that, and the country of what we live in. But for whatever reason, it's not usable in certain areas of this country. They call it toilet to tap, they call it whatever they want. There's not a living microbe in that water. I'm not a scientist. There are scientists here, people that are in the water business much more than know what I do. But ask them how many people have died from that kind of water. I don't know of any. Maybe someone does. But instead of worrying about taking and exacerbating the problem you already have by giving them more water so they can have more grass, we got to change the way we live, period. And nobody wants to face that. The hurricanes are going to get stronger. The Bay was 2.5 degrees warmer this year than last year, and who knows what's going to happen this year. Never in all my life have I seen 6 or 7 hurricanes come out of the Gulf. Never, especially from the direction that they came from. The fires in California, the cold weather. When have you seen snow in Tallahassee and Jacksonville, in the panhandle of Florida? I don't remember of any. And I'm 84 years old.
50.
So what I'm saying, instead of helping the problem, we're creating another problem by giving them more, like giving an alcoholic another drink. They're going to want another one. And that's how life is. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out that we're heading in the wrong direction. And I'm not a genius, let me say that. But when you continue to go the same route, you're going to get the same result at the end. So whether it's this board or another board, we have to change. And we're not facing up to it very well. Thank you.
Commissioner Oakley. Yeah.
A thought I've had when we're talking about changing this water at Agmark property and others, you know, all those properties supported agriculture in the past, and that water was used for that. You've taken the ability for that to be ag property away and moving that over where we can use it for potable water in the future. So those properties must be going to be developed out, or because that would be, and then there'd be another user of the potable water we're going to need in the future. So just things I've been thinking about while we're sitting here and talking about moving water around from Agmark property to the county and different places. So, okay.
Chairman?
Yes.
I'll go back to how Tampa Bay Water got started years ago. We were draining our well fields up in Pasco County, and that constant drain is what a problem. So I think this group, this organization, helped change all that because we're functioning much better. There are things we're doing to recharge are much better. I frankly believe much more into what we did at 4G Ranch. What we're trying to do is even take it up further to hydrate those well and let Mother Nature do it. I do not want to drink toilet to tap. Said it from day one. I don't care what the scientists tell me. I don't want to be any part of that anytime. I do want to see us to try to work. And I think we are doing things differently than what we did 20 years ago. And if you study what Pasco County did with reclaimed water, it actually works. It has been working very well.
We do have our session still to have on the litigation, so if there are no further comments on this item, thank you all very much. Mr. Hogg, yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ms. Anowitz.
Actually had a question for Hillsborough County since the last time you did a presentation was 2023, and we had hurricanes happen from then to now. I would like to know how you handled the hurricanes. Were there any challenges to your system? Any lessons learned? Because that's the big thing that happened last year. And since you're here and it's the beginning of the year, I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Sure. Thank you for the question. So on the drinking water side, we did extremely well. We had a couple of small breaks going into neighborhoods where roads had washed out and the pipe washed out with them. And there were some boil water notices associated with that. However, drinking water systems were all back up and going within 24 hours. So we had, other than the boil water notice getting cleared, which takes a couple of days. So our biggest challenge was actually on the wastewater side at our lift stations. As all of you know, the lift stations do require electricity, and Hillsborough County, 80% of our system was without electricity. We have 900 lift stations total in our system. So it's a very large system. This is the biggest impact we have ever had. The last one before this was about 300 lift stations without power, and that was back in 2017. We were fortunate to get aid from Orange County, Toho, GRU, Zephyr Hills came down with some generators to help us as well. And within a week, actually it was less than that, within 5 days, all lift stations were back up and running at a normal capacity. They might have bypass pumps or generators running them, but they were operating as normal. I think one of the biggest lessons learned is communicating to our customers what to expect and what the impacts are. After the storm went through and the power was out, we were trying to educate our customers about excess, because they had potable water coming into their house. So they're doing laundry and they're doing all of these wastewater generating activities. And so really educating our customers that just because you have water coming into your house doesn't mean the sewer system is fully operational. If you don't have power in your house, odds are your local lift station does not have power, and asking for their support. So we are working right now with our communication and digital media department to develop more educational outreach along those lines. We're also doing assessments of where we can make some improvements with pre-staging of equipment, there's a huge expense associated with adding generators to every lift station. And if we did the math, if we were to try to do that, it would probably be about $150 million to $200 million endeavor for something that we would use once every 8 years. So then you'd have all the maintenance costs on top of it. So there's this kind of return on investment analysis that we're doing and looking at each location. And you're not going to install that kind of equipment in a flooded area. If an area floods and you have that equipment out there, it's not going to work when you need it.
Thank you for that. I think we all had challenges that were similar and learned that communication is key. A lot of the things that we hear about what you should do in storms, Floridians have been around for a long time, know. Things that you're supposed to do, including like wash your clothes before the storm and have everything ready, because you don't know if you're going to have utilities. But it's something that we need to make sure that people understand, because we do have a lot of people that are moving into our communities daily and have no idea the havoc that a storm causes to the infrastructure in our systems and what it is to be without power. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. At this time, I think we are going to, why don't we have a motion to receive and file, and then we'll go ahead and do that.
Second.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
He moved.
Okay.
Miranda?
Motion from Councilman Miranda, seconded by Councilwoman Hanowitz.
Thank you.
To receive and file, and then please record your vote. And then we will recess to the back for our short meeting. I'm going to go ahead and read this language. We are now going to move into a private attorney-client session pursuant to Florida Statute 286.0118 to discuss WBC Industrial Contractors, LLC, and Randall Environmental, Inc. versus Tampa Bay Water. In attendance will be General Counsel Kelly Fernandez, General Counsel David Jackson, Special Counsel Kelly Cagiano, General Manager Chuck Carden, Chair Harry Cohen, Vice Chair Lizette Hanowitz, Board Members Chopper Davis, Dave Eggers, Jack Mariano, Charlie Miranda, Ron Oakley, Kathleen Peters, and Joshua Wustel, and a certified court reporter. The expected duration of the session is 30 minutes. We will come back afterwards to conclude the meeting. At this time, we will adjourn to the back. This meeting is back in session. May I have a motion, please, to follow up on our session that we just returned from?
Motion to file a counterclaim in the pending lawsuit for damages.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Wustall, seconded by Commissioner Oakley, in a close call with Councilman Miranda.
With Oakley.
Okay. Please record your vote.
Mr. Chair, the motion passed unanimously.
Okay, and we did a receive and file motion prior to our stepping out of the room. So at this point, we are going to adjourn and point out that our next meeting will be Monday, February 24th at 9:30 a.m. Everyone have a good month.